Hey everybody. So, this video I'm going to be trying to construct a new anatomical model for our teaching in massage school health enrichment center. Um, if for no better reason than the entertainment value. So it might look a little bit like a horror movie scene right now, but we shall see if my mental uh, thought process is actually going to pan out. So the goal here is to kind of, we were given this model forever ago. I mean, this thing's at least 20 years old, so as you can tell, it's had a little bit of a rough life. But the benefit with this, although it's a simplification of the muscular system, um, it does help for when I'm trying to demonstrate and explain like why we're targeting certain structures and at what angles. Um, the muscles themselves helping label and show these. I mean, in this case, it's all color coded and pretty, but even getting like a sense of, being able to do the joint movement and seeing the shape change of, let's say, the biceps there or the pecs. But more specifically, when we teach, Sandy and I focus a lot on compartments and the compartment lines between usually synergistic muscles. So the anterior upper arm is in a deep fascial compartment and the posterior muscles of the arm, so triceps versus biceps. But more than that, there's coracobrachialis, brachialis, etc. But those functional units get wrapped together, and oftentimes I'm thinking in my mind, do those functional units slip and slide evenly compared to the lines where they would meet the opposing muscles? A great example of that is the whole concept the thing that we hear symptomatically from people, right? That, oh, IT bands are tight, or structures tending to get kind of sticky and bound down near or to the IT band. So vastus lateralis, an IT band, or the bicep femoris, an IT band. Freeing those structures up is usually what my goal tends to be, as opposed to releasing the IT band itself. That's a deep fascial structure that does not change shape a whole lot, but can get pulled and made more tough by the muscles that it attaches to or that it lies adjacent to. So by addressing the stuff around it, then I create more slack and room for it. Thus, the symptom hopefully is relieved, right? So, all that being said, I had seen this and I had this as my inspiration. And we've used full-size skeletal models for teaching purposes for years too. And I just was thinking, is there a way to get muscles on those skeletons so that I could have a more life-sized demo body thing? Now, whether or not it's going to turn out pretty and actually work the way I want it to, that's the question. So this first one's just a cheaper Halloween skeleton. It does not have the range of motion and mobility that would be optimal for most demonstration purposes. So I'm going to say he's very hypomobile. This one, however, is more what you typically see in your anatomy training. You can't see it particularly well, but if anything, the joints on that skeleton are a little bit too loose. So the dynamic I'm working up in terms of making this easy on myself, if it does pan out, is that this Halloween guy is much lighter and that bigger one is a little bit heavier. So question of which one would be a little more wieldy in the classroom, be able to throw it around on the table so I can demonstrate changing a body position. So I'm going to start off with this guy and kind of see what happens. My building materials are skeleton, bubble wrap, so I can keep it light. And I considered trying to use other materials, but when I started to do the math, I don't want to end up with something too heavy, or if I'm lugging it around, or as I said, trying to change its position on the table. So I'm going to try using bubble wrap and just good old, in this case, frog tape, but tape to assemble at least kind of the general blueprint of the muscle structure on the skeletons. And I'm going to try to use my awareness and knowledge of the anatomy to guide me in this process, and to even reinforce where I tape and how I tape, to, as at least on the big structures, have the tape in this instance demonstrating like the fascial anchor sites where a lot of things come together, or where there's more superficial deep fascial bands. Similar, IT band is a perfect example. That's not going to have as much of a soft and pliable feel compared to the medial thigh. So if there's a way for me to be able to replicate that, I would hope to. So there, like the lumbar dorsal fascia, even the structures that follow the sternum down to the linea alba, we'll see if I can maybe get that to reinforce. Because my thought process here is that that would maybe help guide in this stuff being kind of an exaggerated way of beginning palpation assessment, like looking for bony landmarks, looking for changes of density in one area versus the other. And the other piece to this, once I have all that bubble wrap on there, is I had seen these crazy bodysuits that people wear. So in this case, it's a full-on muscle bodysuit. So all we'll be looking at, if this works out, is the superficial muscle layers. Now, we'll see how scary this face turns out. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is it going to just be terrifying to look at. But worst case scenario, hey, this video will act as a something fun to watch if it does just become a big catastrophe, right? So that's the goal, and I'm going to begin. And next video, we'll see if I can actually get the bubble tissue and everything on there in such a way where it begins to look remotely like I hope it does. So we'll see you guys soon.